You don't need a buyer's agent when you go to sell a property because you can just go to open houses and the listing agent, like myself, will show you the property, right? No, the listing agent represents the seller. So they are the seller's advocate. Plus, you're making a decision on what might be $1 million or $500,000 property, a purchase that's probably the greatest purchase you will ever make. And you want to know the details of the process and the stats about the area in order to make an informed decision. I would love to show you the kinds of things that a buyer's agent should be doing to help you out. Here's a couple of things that I have that I provide for my clients. And by the way, if you want any of these items, feel free to schedule on my Linktree, send me a text. I'll just send you a very quick email with some links to all of these. Or we can actually schedule a personal planning session that will help you understand what's going on in the market, what's happening with prices, how interest rates will affect prices and therefore your buying power, and how to make a strong offer that will also get you a deal in this market. I've been talking a lot about deals in this market, and they are happening right now. But unless you have a buyer's agent who understands how to make these kinds of offers to get you seller concessions, to help you bite on your interest rate, you're probably not going to be able to make an offer that's in the best interest for yourself, so you're not overpaying for the home that you decided that you loved. Here's what I have to offer. I start off with my buyer's guide, and I do have a link to this in the comments down below. My buyer's guide has so much information, the people it takes to be involved, the fact that the buyer's agent represents you, the seller's agent represents the seller, and what you can expect from them. I also start out with a quote, so I'll just read it. The best way to ensure your home buying process is a confident one is to find a real estate pro who will guide you through every aspect of the transaction with the heart of a teacher. I really like this because it's by Dave Ramsey, and I used to be a teacher. So I have a really big heart for teaching my clients about both contracts, the process, and as well the stats on the market. I used to be a math teacher. Anyway, lots of information in this. And I write most of it myself. Lots of it comes from Kentwood as well. But what I want to show you also is that there's one specific part. It says decisions based on data. And I like this one the best because obviously you're making a huge purchase. And so you should be well informed about the data in your specific market. Every market is local. And so you should know what's happening in that little pocket, that neighborhood, or that city. I'm going to go into a bunch of the stats that I provide and how they can actually help you make decisions. The other thing I want to show you is that I also give all of my testimonials and a link to all of the properties that I've sold. Now, if you want to hire a realtor who has less experience, that's completely fine. I had people who trusted me at the very beginning of my career, and I was able to help them and learn in the process. Because I am a full-time realtor and I spent lots and lots of time learning about how the contract works, how offers work, how negotiation works. There is a rule in real estate, probably all of sales, that 20% of the realtors do 80% of the business. If you are hiring somebody who is part-time, it's important to be aware of what their strategy is and how much time they have to offer to you. In addition, I think that it is important to know what their expertise on the market is. I happen to sit on the Denver Metro Association of Realtors Market Trends Committee. That's a mouthful. But it's amazing because I get to sit and talk with all of the local experts, lenders, and top realtors in the Denver metro area about what we're seeing both anecdotally in the market as well as what the stats are showing us about what is happening in our market. And that helps me keep my buyers really informed so that they can go and make appropriate decisions about the property they're making an offer on. The other thing that's involved in here is inspection. And I do have a video on inspection. It's called Buyer Beware. I'll link that below as well. It's very, very important that your realtor is walking through an open house with you and helping you look at the HVAC system or giving you information about what's included in the property. Maybe the washer and dryer is not included and you weren't aware of that when you were making an offer, and that becomes an issue, and that could cost you a couple $1,000s, which isn't nothing, right? You want to be aware of these things in advance, not just walking around without a buyer's agent, going to open houses and making offers or coming up with ideas on terms for offers without consulting your buyer's agent. Your buyer's agent should be fully involved in the entire process. We make a good amount of money, and we should, because we should be really there for you the entire way through. Let me move on to one more aspect. This couple I was talking to today at the open house mentioned that they had their home fall out of contract, and then interest rates had gone up like crazy, and they weren't able to buy last year. Why they weren't able to buy during that time, I'm not sure, because that's the market when buyers were getting deals. Maybe they would have had to decrease their price on the sale of their property a little bit or offer seller concessions, but you know what? If they're upgrading to something nicer, they will probably get a better discount, like people are seeing right now in this market. I have a whole guide and a video also, of course, on how to buy and sell a home simultaneously. I'm not going to go through every detail on this right now. There's a lot, but basically you can get a bridge loan to buy first, or you can choose to do a double move if you're going to save some money because you've gotten such a good deal on a property. Go ahead and watch that, or ask me about your personal situation if you have questions. I'm happy to answer them for you. The next thing I think that you should have is some stats. This one is my pride and joy. It has all of the stats, both national and local. The one I really like to show the most shows buyer demand and the current supply. Currently in July of 2024, we're seeing a pullback on prices. And I think it's very interesting to note, this graph is something I could definitely send to you, but this shows the decrease in prices. You can kind of see my line going down. Prices have definitely dropped in Denver. The question becomes, if you're looking at a home, how well is it priced? Is it priced appropriately, or is this a home that you can get a deal on? And what should that deal look like? Should that look like lower price, or should that look like seller concessions to buy down the interest rate? You might choose to just have a lower price because there is some talk about interest rates dropping here soon, which would be amazing for both buyers and sellers. But the question is, and this is what your buyer's agent should be able to tell you, how much will the listing come down in price? What does that price drop look like? And what does the deal look like? By communicating with the listing agent, your advocate, your buyer's agent should be able to give you an idea of what the seller's motivation is. And you'll be able to tell how far the days on market are. This one shows days on market. It's very interesting because 17 is the median days on market right now. Half of the homes are sold in less than 17 days, but the other half, 50% of homes, are sold in more than 15 or 17 days, which seems really long right now because we've been used to an average of 7 days on the market for the past 10 years. But we're getting into a more comfortable, balanced market right now. I'm not sure that that's gonna last, and that's for a whole nother video. But your buyer's agent should be able to explain to you, this one's been sitting on the market for too long. Here's how we can end up getting a deal. The average price reduction is, actually it's 4.7%. I know that off the top of my head right now. And here is how we're gonna get you a deal on this property. Or they might be telling you, this property is sitting on the market, or I'm sorry, this property just got listed, and so there's no way the seller is going to give you a deal in the first week. These are the conversations that you should have throughout the entire process with your buyer's agent, and why you shouldn't just go to open houses, even though I would love to see you at my open houses. You should have your buyer's agent there, having all of the conversations with you, pros and cons. Buying a home is not just about if you like the flooring or the floor plan, or if they've updated the kitchen. Buying a home is a very, very big purchase. You already know that, which is why you've watched this far in this video. The other thing I want to show you is the market analysis that I do for all of my clients. This one would be on the buyer search area. So it actually shows the buyer what properties have sold and what the price per square foot is, as well as the average close price, days on market, and the close to list price ratio. The close to list price ratio is a percentage of the original price for what the property sold for. Let's say a property sold for $600,000, but it was listed for $615,000. So it would be about 98% close to list price ratio. That's a really good indicator of how low you can make an offer. If you're looking at a property, your buyer's agent should be giving you this information. For example, I have a total of 5 active properties that are comparables for this listing that I'm looking at. They sold from a range of, they're listed for from a range of $539,000 all the way up to $610,000. And the interesting part is the range of the close to list price ratio is 96% to 105%. So 4 or 5% plus or minus the actual listed price. So on a $600,000 property, we're talking about $30,000. That's a lot of money. And how are you supposed to know what to offer? What makes sense for getting a deal? Should you offer exactly at list price, or should you offer slightly under? These are the kinds of comps that I pull for all of my buyers, and by the way, for my listings as well, but this video is about buyers right now. I would be really happy just to chat with you about what it looks like to purchase in the current market dynamics, because that's what I love to do. Even if you decide you don't want to move right now, or interest rates are still too high, which they kind of are, but that's a whole nother topic. You can make a plan for going forward, and you can start to get a feel for the market by getting a market email that comes to you weekly, and you could just glance through it. It really helps you educate yourself on what's happening and what type of homes you can expect to see for sale when you are ready to buy. I'm Heather O'Leary with Kentwood Real Estate. Give me a call. I'd love to talk to you or just be there to help you through the process if you need it.